Nigeria's Center for Disease Control (NCDC) confirms 321 new coronavirus cases. Presidential Task Force review international passengers who evade Nigerian COVID-19 test directive may face travel ban. In international news, protests erupt in the U.S. state of Wisconsin after a black man was shot by police. And in sport, Barcelona's manager Ronald Koeman invites Albert Walker as part of Barca's coach staff, asks Suarez to leave the Spanish Giants club.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Nigeria's coronavirus cases continue to rise daily with the new recorded cases of 321. The country has now amassed a total of 52,508 infections. Death toll from the virus has also exceeded 1,000. Interestingly, 40,000 of the infected people are reported to have recovered and discharged from treatment centers. Nigeria's Center for Disease Control says the new cases were recorded in 24 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Lagos recorded the highest number of cases as usual with 98 infections. Kaduna, Nazaryan, Benue, Plateau, Rivers, Adamawa and Ogun State also recorded cases in double digits. 380,000 samples have been tested so far across the country, with just 12,287 active cases. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 says international passengers who evade tests in Nigeria will be put on the federal government's travel watch list. PTF National Coordinator Dr. Sani Aliyu said this while announcing the federal government's new directive and protocols for travelers as Nigeria reopens its airspace. Aliyu says it is now compulsory for passengers coming into the country to have undergone polymerase chain reaction tests for COVID-19 before and after arriving in Nigeria. Aliyu said any airline who fails to ensure its passengers present negative results risk a $3,500 fine per passenger. The PTF also says the Nigeria Immigration Service could suspend passports or put offenders on travel watch list. Aliyu further says the new directive will be reviewed every 4 weeks. The coronavirus pandemic has forced schools to shift to online learning, and parents of special education students have become their children's teachers. How easy has it been? Correspondent Kelechi Mekalam has the details.
It's been 5 months since Jonah Jonathan has been out of school. Institutions of learning have been shut down due to the coronavirus pandemic. And unlike his colleagues, the 10-year-old is unable to join the e-learning platforms. As a visually impaired student, Jonah depends highly on his instructor to physically guide him through the learning process, and it's taken a toll on the youngster.
I really miss being in school, really, because staying at home doing nothing is like being lazy, so that's why I like to go to school.
I want to be back to school because he loves school so much, and he loves people. He makes friendship, so he wants to be back to school. And the fact that there's no teacher around to teach him the Braille, he has to do other things. He sings, so since he cannot do the school things or stuff, he sings, he plays the instruments, and then goes for many occasions. Yes, for now, because I don't know Braille, so I can't teach him.
Children with special needs like Jonah require special aid and technology to assist them with learning. And the current e-learning platforms in Nigeria do not provide such options. and that has cut them off from education and further put them at a disadvantaged position.
Braille is very, very controversial. You need constant teaching. You need constant attention. You must be practicing it. Now, since March, they were at home. That means when they will go back to the school, and they don't know the day that they will be going back to the school, that means they were going to start afresh. So it's affected them psychologically. It's affected them seriously.
The National Population Commission estimates that there are about 19 million persons with special needs in Nigeria. They include those with visual, hearing, physical and health impairments, intellectual disabilities, emotional and behavioral disorders, among others. Parents and education experts have already written an open letter to the government demanding that children with special needs be included in the e-learning scheme. They're hoping they could eventually compete favorably with their peers.
For Jesus is coming soon.
Coming up, African stories. Flooding displaces thousands in Kenya's Rift Valley. And later, international news. Protests erupt in the U.S. state of Wisconsin after a black man was shot by police.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Thousands have been displaced by rising water levels in 5 lakes that sit on the Rift Valley in Kenya. The swelling Lake Baringo has expanded about 6 kilometers inland, engulfing everything in its path. Hundreds have lost their livelihoods as farmlands and businesses, including hotels and schools, have been swallowed by the lake. There is also fear of environmental damage. Correspondent Robert Nagali is there.
Residents who live around Lake Baringo, a freshwater lake about 320 kilometers from the capital Nairobi, have different theories on why water levels have risen exponentially. Some blame the rain.
Every evening, in the morning, at night, we are experiencing rain.
Others, like Esther Cherutoy, whose house has been submerged, puts it down to geographical activity.
Earthquake every day, 4-5 times a day.
What is certain is the swelling lake has expanded about 6 kilometers inland, engulfing everything in its path and displacing thousands. As her neighbors salvage what's left of their property, Esther is still unable to access her home. Help has yet to arrive.
We need iron sheets to rebuild our homes, and secondly, we need food.
A boat ride inland reveals the extent of the devastation. Hundreds have lost their livelihoods as farmlands and businesses, including hotels and schools, have been swallowed by the lake.
Along the shores, there are hotels like Soy Lodge. 100 employees have lost their job.
And Lake Baringo is not the only body of water affected. 5 of Kenya's lakes that straddle the Rift Valley have risen to levels not witnessed before and are still rising. Experts say that while global warming may have played a role, the problem is man-made.
All our water comes from the Mao forest and the forest around Eldama Ravine. And all those areas are being chopped down. So basically what is happening is that we're getting flash floods coming down. And plus a lot of silt. So the silt is bringing the bottom of the lake up.
As if the COVID-19 pandemic was not enough, the swelling lake has flooded the local health center at Kambia Samaki. In early 2019, I was in this same area covering a drought that claimed dozens of lives, claimed hundreds of animals, and left thousands of people dependent on humanitarian assistance. Now, it's not uncommon to find locals fishing by the highway. From one extreme to another, having lost everything, many here face an uncertain future.
The South African National Blood Services is considering the use of convalescent plasma as a possible treatment for COVID-19. Convalescent plasma treatment involves taking antibodies from the blood of recovered patients and transferring it to infected persons. Correspondent Julie Schuer explains how that works.
CEO of South Africa's National Blood Service, Jonathan Lowe, was one of the first COVID-19 patients in the country. Lowe donated his plasma on recovery. He's now driving the process to begin clinical trials to use convalescent plasma transfusion on those who are critically ill.
We'd like to conclusively prove that this treatment works. And if it does work, and we show that conclusively in the early stages of the disease, we'll break the trial and start making the convalescent plasma freely available to everybody that can get it as quickly as possible.
Donors are subjected to rigorous screening. Plasma from 60 recovered patients has so far been collected, tested and stored.
People that have had COVID-19 and have recovered fully and are 28 days after typically having fully recovered. We collect their plasma, and then that plasma will then, in the second arm of the trial, go into an ill patient, a patient that has active COVID-19, and it'll give them a degree of what's known as passive immunity. So that is when you use somebody else's antibodies to give your body a chance to produce its own antibodies in fighting this disease.
Convalescent plasma therapy could be a quicker alternative to vaccines being tested on the local population.
So vaccines probably another year or 18 months away. This is something that we can do right now that will hopefully make a real difference to people's lives. South Africa is at the moment sort of peaking with the epidemic, so this is the perfect time to find a large number of people that are in the recovery stages and are able to donate.
These plasma trials are part of an ongoing research to effectively treat those infected. South Africa is also testing a vaccine and studying live coronavirus cultures.
Egypt is working to ensure its transportation system is safe during the coronavirus pandemic. As more restrictions are lifted, the country is enforcing safety measures at its metro stations, which are now adapting to a new normal in public transportation in the age of COVID-19. Correspondent Adil El Marouki reports.
59-year-old Awad Al-Attar has been the chief of the biggest metro station in Egypt since 1992. At first, the station was named after former President Hosni Mubarak, but after the 2011 uprising, its name changed to El-Shuhada, an Arabic word meaning martyrs. He has seen the facility undergo tremendous changes, and now the COVID-19 pandemic has even made more changes.
Under normal circumstances, we are responsible for the lives of the people who use the metro. We are taking additional care now because of the pandemic. At night, all trains, stations and workshops get disinfected. And in the morning, we file a video report to our superiors so that everyone ensures the process is up to the required standards.
The disinfection processes have added a lot to the metro workers' daily workload. Yet, that's the least challenging role brought about by the pandemic. They must ensure all passengers put their face masks. That's difficult to implement because many Egyptians are not used to doing so. Every minute, the station's speakers remind passengers of the measures they have to follow. Yet many still try to avoid wearing the masks.
Our public relations staff are utilizing all possible means to remind the passengers of the measures they need to follow. A passenger should listen to the audio instructions once they enter the station. If someone goes through the security gates, the Metro Police will follow up with the passengers. If the passengers say they have no face masks, we tell them to buy from the ticket office. If they refuse, the police will file a violation report.
In Egypt, people who don't wear masks aboard public transport could pay fines up to $250. That's more than 2 months' salary for an average Egyptian. It is almost impossible to ensure that all passengers abide by the new health measures all the way through their commute. Awadallah knows that some passengers will take their masks off once they walk past his checkpoint. But with only 2 weeks left before he retires, he's making sure that he's doing his part.
Up to 3 million passengers could cluster daily in the trains of the underground and stations. That poses great risk for Egypt under the COVID-19 pandemic. That's why the safety of this means of transportation could greatly reflect on the health safety of the entire country.
When we return, international news. Protests erupt in the U.S. state of Wisconsin after a black man was shot by police. And later, sport. Barcelona's manager, Ronald Koeman, invites Albert Roca as part of Barca's coach staff.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Another American city is reeling after the police shot a black man. 29-year-old Jacob Blake is in stable condition in a hospital in Kenosha, Washington State. He was shot on Sunday as he tried to get into his car. Correspondent Dan Williams has the details.
A mattress lies at the scene of the latest shooting of an African-American man at the hands of police officers. In video footage posted online, Jacob Blake was seen walking to his vehicle, followed by 2 Kenosha, Wisconsin police officers, guns drawn. As he entered the driver's side door, he was shot in the back, at least 7 shots heard. A family attorney says Blake's children were in the car. Police had responded to a domestic incident that witnesses say did not directly involve Blake. The shooting sparked a night of protest in Kenosha. A car dealership was torched. Vehicles near the courthouse were also set on fire. Aaron Campazano lives across the road from where the shooting took place.
That is definitely not how it should have, been handled. There was 3 gentlemen who were well-trained police officers, who should have been well-trained police officers, who had deal with scenarios like this. They should have dealt with it 100% differently than that. More than definitely not 7 shots to the gentleman's back while getting in his car.
Monday, around 24 Black Lives Matter protesters again gathered at the spot of the shooting and then marched to the courthouse. The outrage seen here is reminiscent of that seen in neighboring Minnesota in May after the death of George Floyd. Floyd was killed after a police officer knelt on his neck for almost 9 minutes, sparking global outrage. Activists say this shooting once again underlines the issues of police brutality and racial justice.
And it always comes back to this: hands up, don't shoot. That's what we do. Hands up, don't shoot. But does it matter? No, because it doesn't get there. We still get shot. Just like this young man over here, he got shot. And where is he? in the hospital because the police want to use excessive force.
If you don't get it, shut it down!
Wisconsin's Governor Tony Evers condemned the shooting and ordered the deployment of National Guard troops amid the unrest. But protesters here say they will continue to demonstrate until justice for Blake has been achieved.
German doctors treating Russia dissident Alexei Navalny say he was poisoned. They have not identified the specific toxin, but carrying out more analysis. Navalny remains in a medically induced coma, but is in stable condition. Doctors say he will make it. Navalny is the most vocal critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin. He was allowed to be medevaced on Saturday from the hospital in Omsk in Siberia, where he was being treated after falling gravely sick on a flight. Russian doctors who treated Navalny denied finding any evidence of toxins in his system. Mexico has joined the growing list of countries who are shying away from in-person classes in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. The country has begun televised classrooms. Correspondent Frank Contreras reports on how lack of access to necessary gadgets may cause some children to miss out.
The first day of school of televised learning proved to be anything but smooth for millions of students, including 9-year-old Martina Hernandez Ordax. Her first challenge was finding the proper channel to watch. After attending a televised class called Civics and Ethics Formation, Martina participated in a recess break in the form of a pre-recorded video showing kids how to stretch for exercise. On this first day of classes, she worried that the internet would cut out and not allow her to participate. But when her classes ended, this 5th grader was convinced she'd survived the changes taking place in Mexico's educational system.
Es fácil, ya que siento que es bastante ligero.
It's easy and very light on us, and it's very comfortable. You can take classes from the comfort of your own sofa. So what are the differences? You're on a comfortable sofa and not seated on a hard plastic chair.
With reports of the virus still spreading, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador encouraged the nation to join forces and do their best to continue educating children through the televised classes. More than 220,000 schools remain closed around the nation, and in Mexico City, streets near schools were virtually empty.
The first day of classes did get off to a rocky start for students and their parents. Some parents told CGTN they would have liked to have a school official here to answer some of their questions.
This parent said that classes on the internet via Zoom were not available because too many people were using the platform across Mexico, causing it to briefly collapse. But Martina's mother, Maria del Carmen Ordax, was relieved that her child was not forced to attend classes in person and place her health at risk.
If students had returned to classes, the number of people contaminated by the virus will be much worse. But they gave us too many options for how to take classes.
This semester and next, Mexican school children are expected to attend 3 hours of televised classes per day. Martina worries about less fortunate children who cannot participate in school because they do not have a television or access to the internet.
Up next, sports. Barcelona's manager Ronald Koeman invites Albert Roque as part of Barca's coach staff. Ask Suarez to leave the Spanish Giants club. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, Ronald Koeman has invited ID Rabbit FC boss Albert Roca to join his coaching staff at Barcelona. Roca previously worked at Barcelona with Dutch manager Frank Rijkaard between 2003 and 2008, but he currently works with ID Rabbit. Roca says he's waiting for more clarity before finalizing his decisions with Barcelona. Meanwhile, Barcelona star Luis Suarez has been told he has no future with the team. New coach Ronald Koeman confirmed Suarez will be part of the team's clear-out after a trophyless season, doubled by the 8-2 defeat by Bayern Munich. UEFA has confirmed Super Cup finals between Bayern Munich and Sevilla in Budapest will permit up to one-third of the stadium's capacity. UEFA has announced this is to test the partial return of fans to major sporting competitions. France has lifted the ban on stadium fans to allow 5,000 persons per match. The Premier League, Serie A, La Liga and Bundesliga have not yet outlined any similar plans, but UEFA is now preparing to welcome back supporters for the first major European fixture of the upcoming season. That is CNN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.